Little short story from work. The other day I had a couple cones stolen from my little work zone there, and there was another company out there had a lot of cones set up, kind of in the same area. My coworker said, "You could have just taken some of their cones," and it got me to thinking. Our standard of righteousness is not up to par many times, and you know we're ready to claim that we know the commands. We've heard it all our life: do not steal, do not lie, do not commit adultery. But we only claim to do this until times get tough, or you're met with a circumstance that challenges that, and then you'll throw that right out the window. I've seen that. When you hear people talk, you listen and you believe what they say, and it reveals what's in their heart. Because we can judge one another in Messiah. And I'm not saying I'm better, but it's just something that I've considered and try to be intentional, about everything. Because you don't pay evil back for evil. When Elohim said, do not steal, you don't turn around and say, well, X, Y, and Z circumstance dictates that, I should be able to do this. No. If somebody steals from you, yeah, if you can go collect your things back, yeah, that's good. But if you can't, you don't turn around and steal something from somebody else. Another example of that is, you're going to sell that old car with the oil leak, and you know exactly what people will do, even Christians, because I've had the same circumstance. They say, oh, well, I wouldn't say nothing about that part. Well, if you love your neighbor as yourself, then you would disclose everything and be completely honest. But we'll do that until it affects us financially or puts us in a pinch, puts us in a bind, and then we're ready to throw all that out the window. But we have a higher standard of righteousness than the world. And you say, well, it's just a small thing. What does it matter? No one will even know it. But Elohim sees, and he knows, and he weighs the intention of the heart. He knows every thought, and he judges the small things just like he judges the big. And he repays right now. People think, oh, judgment it's for a time far off. It's when I stand before him at his throne, that's when I'll be judged. No, you will be judged at that time, but he is judging right now. It's kind of, it's a universal law. People call it karma, but it's, you reap what you sow. And he repays evil for evil. He repays good for good, and he's doing that right now. And the scripture says, consider your ways. You have a blanket that doesn't cover you, or your stomach isn't full. Consider your ways. And I'm not saying everything is always going to be good and always going to be perfect, but sometimes judgment is delayed. But you know what? You know in your heart if something is right or wrong, and he knows your intention. In the Torah, when someone brought false witness against someone else, and they said, well, this person committed murder, but they really hadn't, if they found that out, they would do whatever that person thought to do unrighteously to that person they lied about. You look at Haman, how he was thought to kill Mordecai, who was innocent of anything. So he built that structure at his house to hang Mordecai. You see what happened? It got flipped around on him. He's the one who got hung, because Elohim brought the judgment on him. He's judging now. He sees what we do, and we have to have a higher standard of righteousness to actually do what he said, which is not just checking off boxes to keep commands, but to, Messiah said you cannot live off bread alone, but we live off Elohim's word. His word is bread. His word is life. And we live off every word that proceeded from the mouth of Elohim. So just think about that. And we're called to a higher standard of righteousness, like I said. And yeah, just something to consider.